Okay, now we're back. This is part two again. This is just the background of this story again. It's like just a little bit more about what it's about before it starts. It says here, Little House on the Prairie is the third novel in a series of books written by Laura Ingalls Wilder. The books are based upon the experiences of her family in the 1800s. In this excerpt, or short story, Laura and her family face an unexpected danger and struggle to save their home and animals, including their dog, Jack, and their horses, Pet, Patty, and Bunny. Those are the names of their horses. The story of the Ingalls family continues in the fifth book of the series, By the Shores of Silver Lake. Years after the Prairie Fire, the family has moved to the Dakota Territory. That was some Native Americans, the Dakota tribe. Shortly after settling into their new home, the family discovers that Laura's youngest sister, Grace, is missing. So the first story we're reading today is just the first part there. One day, they were helping Ma get dinner. Baby Carrie was playing on the floor in the sunshine, and suddenly the sunshine was gone. I do believe it's going to storm, Ma said, looking out the window. Laura looked too, and great black clouds were billowing up in the south across the sun. Pet and Patty were coming running from the field, Paul holding to the heavy plow and bounding in long leaps behind it. "Prairie fire!" he shouted. "Get the tub full of water! Put sacks in it! Hurry!" The first question is an inference question. Why does Ma say, "I do believe it's going to storm" in paragraph 2? Why does Mom think that it's going to storm or rain? Your clue is here in paragraph 1. You can see the fire over there. Ma ran to the well. Laura ran to get the tub ran to tug the tub to it. That's an interesting pair of words. Paul tied Pet to the house. He brought the cow and calf from the picket line and shut them in the stable. He caught Bunny and tied her fast to the north corner of the house. Ma was pulling up buckets of water as fast as she could. Laura ran to get the sacks that Paul had flung out of the stable. Paul was plowing, shouting at Pet and Patty to make them hurry. The sky was black now. The air was as dark as if the sun had set. Paul plowed a long furrow west of the house and south of the house and back again east of the house. Rabbits came bounding past him as if he wasn't there. What does the word furrow mean as it is used in paragraph 6? It says that Paul, or the dad, was plowing and shouting at the horses. The sky was black. Paul plowed a long furrow west of the house, south of the house, and back again east of the house. So he's almost building this furrow around the house. When you plow furrows in the ground, this is what you're doing. This is how we plow fields today. It was with a large tractor and a very large plow. Back then, during these times, this is what a plow looked like this guy's using right here. This would be a hand plow that just has a wheel, and you just push it to dig up the earth. That's what plow means. Or you could have it pulled by a donkey or horses or mule. So they are plowing furrows here in these pictures. What is a furrow? Why might Paul be plowing furrows around the house? Think about it. There's a fire coming and Paul is plowing up the grass. Why would he plow up the grass? Pet and Patty came galloping, the plow and Paul bounding behind them. Paul tied them to the other north corner of the house. The tub was full of water. Laura helped Ma push the sacks under the water to soak them. "I couldn't plow but one furrow. There isn't time," Paul said. "Hurry, Caroline. That fire's coming faster than a horse can run." A big rabbit bounded right over the tub while Pa and Ma were lifting it. Ma told Laura to stay at the house. Pa and Ma ran staggering to the furrow with the tub. I'm going to add one question here that I think would be a good one, using context clues. What does the word bounded mean as it is used in paragraph 9? Again, a big rabbit bounded right over the tub while Pa and Ma were lifting it. Laura stayed close to the house. She could see the red fire coming under the billows of smoke. More rabbits were leaping by. They paid no attention to Jack, and he didn't think about them. He stared at the red undersides of the rolling smoke and shivered and whined while he crowded close to Laura. The wind was rising and wildly screaming. Thousands of birds flew before the fire. Thousands of rabbits were running. Paul was going along the furrows, setting fire to the grass on the other side of it. Ma followed with a wet sack, beating at the flames that tried to cross the furrow. The whole prairie was hopping with rabbits. Snakes rippled across the yard. Prairie hens, or chickens, ran silently, their necks outstretched and their wings spread. Birds screamed in the screaming wind. This just says, explain the problem of the story. And again, explain how the family works to solve the problem. It seems like all the members of the family have some job to do. What is happening to the animals in paragraph 12? Why are all the animals jumping around? And here is, how does setting fire to the grass stop a prairie fire? Here's a picture of the prairie fire burning up all the grass. Why would you set grass on fire when there's a prairie fire coming? Paul's little fire was all around the house now, and he helped Ma fight it with the wet sacks. The fire blew wildly, snatching at the dry grass inside the furrow. Paul and Ma thrashed at it with sacks. When it got across the furrow, they stamped it with their feet. They ran back and forth in the smoke, fighting that fire. The prairie fire was roaring now, roaring louder and louder in the screaming wind. Great flames came roaring, flaring and twisting high. Twists of flame broke loose and came down on the wind to blaze up in the grasses far ahead of the roaring wall of fire. A red light came from the rolling black clouds of smoke overhead. Mary and Laura stood against the house and held hands and trembled. Baby Carrie was in the house. Laura wanted to do something, but inside her head was roaring and whirling like the fire. Her middle shook, and tears poured out of her stinging eyes. Her eyes and her nose and her throat stung with smoke. Jack howled. Bunny and Pet and Patty were jerking at the ropes and squealing horribly. The orange-yellow terrible flames were coming faster than horses can run, and their quivering light danced over everything. Here's another inference question. Who is Jack? Who are Pet and Patty? Explain how you know. You can use these context clues that we have here in this paragraph. The wind rose to a high crackling, rushing shriek. Flames climbed into the crackling air. Fire was all around the house. Then it was over. The fire went roaring past and away. Paul and Ma were beating out little fires here and there in the yard. When they were all out, Ma came to the house to wash her hands and face. She was all streaked with smoke and sweat, and she was trembling. She said there was nothing to worry about. The backfire saved us, she said, and all's well that ends well. Explain how the backfire saved the family's house. Again, the theme of a story is the lesson learned in the end, or the message. In Little Red Riding Hood, the theme was don't talk to strangers. That's what her mother had told her not to do, but she did it anyway, telling the wolf where she was going so he could go and hide and surprise her and attack her. And the boy who cried wolf, the theme or lesson that needs to be learned is the kid needs to learn to stop lying. Because if you never tell the truth, no one will believe you. And then the theme of the Three Little Pigs is hard work pays off. Or a job well done is better. Not like a house that you just put together really quickly that the big bad wolf can blow down. But when you take your time to build a nice sturdy brick home, you're better off. What do you think the theme is in the story Little House on the Prairie? Use details from the text in your answer. And here, the last one for the summary. Use the story map in order to write a summary for the story. Don't forget to include the problem and solution. I'll give you a hint. The problem's going to become at the very beginning. That's it. This is actually a page that I can delete. Thank you for listening. See you in class tomorrow.